Welcome to the farmhouse. I'm Stephanie Spiker.
I'm Candace Wierzbowski.
And today we are welcoming in Lacie Evans to the farmhouse. Lacie, she owns beef cattle in Ohio, and she has quite the following on social media. Honestly, she's an influencer. Like, that's really all you can say. She is definitely an influencer. On Instagram, she has over 600,000 followers. And then on TikTok, she has 2.5 million followers. And yes, you heard that right, million. So
everyone loves looking at cows.
Yeah, she's so much fun to watch her videos. She is out with all of her cows, her big girls, as she calls them. And she's super funny, and she just keeps it super real. And so we're going to bring her into the farmhouse, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. I cannot wait.
Lacie, welcome to the farmhouse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad you guys had me on.
So we start everyone out with the same question, which is, did you always want to work in agriculture?
I mean, I have had cattle around me since I have my first memories. We got them when I was 5 or 6. So as soon as I got into that, I knew that I always wanted to be in that field. I will say when I was younger, I also really developed a passion for stand-up comedy, but I never told anyone about it because I lived in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, that's not going to happen. So that's why the internet is kind of bonkers, because it kind of just put both of those together for me in a field that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's nice when things can come together like that. So I'm aware from your podcast that livestock showing has been a big part of your life. And I was wondering, could you tell us about how you got into it and what your experiences have been in that realm?
Yeah. So my grandfather on my dad's side actually got super into beef cattle showing specifically. And so he got my brother and my cousins into it because they were older at the time. And then it just kind of trickled down into me because I would help my brother when he was doing it. He's 6 years older than me, so there's a decent age gap. And so I helped in the barn. So then it just eventually was kind of unspoken that I was going to start showing as well. And so then I just picked up from there, started showing as soon as I could, got, I think 4-H age is 9, I think was the first year I showed, and did it every year that I could. Snow, which is my celebrity on my farm, she was my last year as a 4-H member, and she's the best I ever did showing. And so that was always really cool. But yeah, I loved every minute of it. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever done. Some of my favorite memories of all time are from showing cattle. I would do not only county fair, but I would do other open shows. And then I would do some circuits as well that are just shows that go on almost all year.
Nice. And so I think I heard also that you guys then continued to breed cattle for showing for other kids.
Yeah, so we never, ever had cattle for profit. The only reason we started our herd was to have calf crop for us, like my brother and myself, and because it was just cheaper than buying them every year. And so then when we were showing, obviously that's what we used it for. And then after I stopped, a couple of my cousins got interested. So I was like, all right, well, I'll keep breeding. And then I would also sell calves occasionally. But my area is super freaking competitive. And so there's just a lot of big names and a lot of money into it, and politics, honestly, that I just don't care to be in. I sell calves to kids who just want to show and not spend $3,000. That's kind of always been my market because I like being able to get kids involved that might not have been able to do it if not. So that's kind of the market that I sold to. Now that I sold Rocco to my friends out in Colorado, we're not going to breed my big girls anymore, and they're just going to chill.
For people who aren't familiar, who are your big girls?
My big girls, that's just my that's my herd of cows, my random little crossbred lovely ladies. I could name them all right now if you want me to.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, let's hear it.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so we've got Izzy, we've got Snow, we've got Oswald, we have Indigo, Maybelline, Scarlet, Bo Peep, LaFonda, Athena, Eleanor, Phoebe, I'm gonna start getting low now because I'm thinking too much. We got Liam, and then I have all the babies this year. I'm probably missing some, and that's gonna make me seem like a really bad mom. But I've got a herd of 25.
Okay.
That I have babies this year. I have some people interested in buying a bull because they really like Rocco, my old bull's genes. And then I have some kids who are interested in buying some projects. So that'll be where the calf crop this year goes. But then everybody else is just going to chill and be hardcore pet cows.
Nice. They're going into retirement, you might say.
Yeah. Some of them haven't even had kids and they're going into retirement.
How nice for them.
They're just hanging out. I love it. So, since your days of showing have ended and now your days of breeding, it looks like, have ended too. So, what are some of your plans for your farm going forward?
I am finally building my house on the farm so that I have my own little space. And once I have my little space, I definitely want to get other species. And honestly, again, it's just going to be pet vibes, really. I have toyed with the idea of maybe getting into a more novelty breed because that's something that people always get confused when I sell like my calves. They don't know how I sell them. A lot of people aren't as crazy as I am and just want to have a crossbred cow as a pet. Like that's just kind of not a thing for a lot of people, which is fine. I'm fine taking that very small minority. But I wouldn't mind getting into a more novelty breed like a Highland or a Dexter and maybe breed those because I do have a very good knack for rearing cattle and then also really socializing them, which is something people really like out of more novelty breeds. So I've thought about maybe dabbling in that, but that's a journey for like a little bit more down the road. I want to get this house built first and then I'll think about investing in more cattle.
Gotcha. Priorities.
I can promise you, Candace supports you doing Highlands. That's her favorite thing in the world.
100%.
I feel like everyone has such a love for Highlands, that is for sure.
How can you not? I mean,
It's
so
true.
what made you decide to start showing off your cows online? And were you surprised by how many people enjoyed your content?
Yes, it was a complete freaking accident. Okay. My first username on TikTok, originally I downloaded TikTok because me and my best friend used to watch TikTok cringe compilations. And we were like, we gotta see what this is about. Okay. So we downloaded it and we watched it and we realized like that was when it had just made the switch from like musically to TikTok. And it had more of that Vine vibe. So we were like, okay, wait, this isn't that bad actually. So then me and her were like, well, let's just post all of our stupid stuff that we have from random Snapchat stories, etc., and just have it in one place. Like we had no intentions of going viral, any of that. And my first username was I think I'm funny because I just posted a bunch of random Snapchat stories that I had saved and all that. And I never wanted to share my cows, not because of like not wanting to, more of just I was afraid of animal internet because like PETA and
Mm-hmm.
all of their
Mm-hmm.
people are really fun to deal with sometimes because they just see a cow and they immediately call you like a murderer that rapes cattle. And I'm like, whoa,
No.
you don't know you don't know anything about me. Hold on. Like you don't even know the difference between a beef and a dairy cow. I don't know why you have so much education coming at me. But so I was just like, well, just won't do that. But then I thought of an idea. Snow was pregnant at the time and right before the pandemic. And I was like, I'll just film this silly video. And it was, I thought only cattle people or any other like rancher that rears animals would get it. Cause I was basically just like, oh, Snow, like you're going to have your baby in this nice warm barn and not the nasty, gross muck that's out here. And I was making her shake her head to agree. And like just silly questions like that. And it kind of blew up. And so then it was a lot of positive, like that I wasn't ready for. I thought everyone was just gonna be like, oh my God, you breed cow, you just blah, blah, blah. But people were very like intrigued by her pregnancy. And I think they could kind of tell, like they were like, oh, she's really tame and like really laid back. She's also a really beautiful cow. And so then I was like, okay, well, fun fact, guys, I also have this bottle baby named Oswald who's cute as heck. Like, let me show you him. And so it just kind of snowballed from there. And I will say I have a lot of Snow to thank because her pregnancy was very much April the giraffe from like 2016 vibe.
Yes.
People just were like waiting for her to drop that child. And so I feel like that's the biggest reason why I gained a following right at that point. And then it's just kind of been a steady growth since then.
Well, we both follow you,
Yeah.
so we love it. We love watching. So, you've said here that your cows are kind of your pets at this point, especially now that you're not breeding them. And I know from some of your videos that that has made some people think that you're like either vegan or vegetarian or just like anti-animal ag, which obviously you are not. I know that also from watching your videos. So how much do
Yeah,
you
no.
feel like your content is kind of like trying to combat misinformation about the ag industry?
So I love that question because I feel like a lot of times I'm not taken seriously by some ag people because a lot of my videos, like on surface level, could seem very goofy or I'm not taking things seriously. But under this cursing little sailor, I have a degree in animal science and I've worked in vet offices. I almost went to vet school. I have a degree in chemistry as well. So like I like to do this thing where I make learning fun. And I also am like, look at these super fluffy cows that like are so well treated by me. And then I'm like, let's learn about the ag industry though also, because a lot of farmers treat their cows like this. It's kind of this little game not game I like to play, but like I feel like I'm able to answer questions on a different level because it's almost like people trust me more because they see how I treat my animals. But when they see a factory farm, that word just immediately scares them and they don't want to listen to it because they think that it's just all BS. So I kind of like to use the humor and the lighthearted, cute cows, but also trickle in the education as well. Because one of my favorite things, I've had several like people send me Reddit threads where people will be like, oh, I don't understand why people wean cattle, blah, blah, blah. And I kid you not, there'll be comments that are like, well, I follow this girl, Farmer Lacie, and she said that you should wean calves at 6 months because the mother is getting beat up in the bag and the baby is already ready to be weaned. So it's actually not bad for them. And I'm like, that's right. You guys are
That's
learning.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, I feel like too, like the day and age of social media and TikTok especially, like people do want to be educated, but they want to be educated in a way that they're also being entertained. And it's such a fine line. And I feel like you are right there. Like you have found that happy medium, which is super cool.
I try my best, man.
I mean, aside from like the misinformation stuff, what are some things you're hoping that people from outside of ag are taking away from your content?
I would just love for people to, if I could just, those trends that are like, if you could make every single person hear this, what would it be? Mine would be that abused animals will not produce. So why would farmers purposely get into such a complicated industry just to abuse animals and not make money? I wish that I could just make people understand that because there's this weird myth that's been pushed by animal activists, PETA, I don't know who, but it's just like farmers have these factory farms with thousands of animals just so they can beat the crap out of them every day. And I'm like, do you not understand that the only way farmer would make money is so that if it's because the animal's producing for them, and you need the hierarchical needs just like human beings. So if they're not taken care of, if they're being starved, stressed out, beaten, they're not producing, and that farmer's losing money. So like, why do you think that's happening?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. That's like the one thing I wish I could just like drill into people's heads because sometimes I'll get backhanded compliments that are like, I love to see somebody taking care of animals. Oh, factory farms abuse and neglect. And I'm like, whoa, dude. Chill.
Could have stopped that
A lot more
sentence a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I run our social media pages for our newspaper here at Lancaster Farming. So obviously it's at a significantly smaller scale than what you're doing on social media, but I know that being on social media, it can be occasionally kind of like a nightmare. And I know that you've gotten your fair share of like hate comments and mean comments and like some pretty disgusting and uncalled for. And how do you deal with that kind of bad experience on social media? And then also for you, do you feel like your good experiences on social media outweigh those like negative things?
Oh, absolutely. They outweigh it. I get to do one of the coolest jobs I could have ever thought of. And I know that I've already made it because little me would think I was the coolest person on the planet. So like that, to me, any comment can come at me, and me just knowing that is all I need, because like, that's it. If 12-year-old Lacie got to see 27-year-old Lacie, she'd be like, she's the coolest person alive. And so I've peaked. Like that's all I needed. But for me, when I see, the only comments that I get that are negative are usually either I'm fat or I'm crazy. And I'm like, both of those are true. I am aware of my size, and I am aware that I love animals maybe more than some people would think is normal. But if that's the worst thing I'm doing online, I ain't doing half bad. Like, I
Agreed.
just try to think of the mindset of somebody who has to go out of their way to hurt somebody. And that's not like, I couldn't imagine. So I'm like, I feel way more sorry for you than I feel about the fact that you may think that I'm unattractive, I guess.
Yeah, that's such a good way to look at it.
I do love like the self-love, like, well, 12-year-old me, if she could see me now, because I don't think I think a lot about 12-year-old me. 12-year-old me had a lot of self-confidence issues, and yeah, I'd like to think that she'd be proud of me, what I'm doing now,
Heck
how
yeah.
far I've come.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what I always go back to. Cause I mean, when I was like, I grew up in a rural area, but there wasn't a lot of people who are super into livestock like I was. And I never thought I would be able to entertain people and educate them and advocate all in the same job. And so to think, and like just thinking of like, oh, I could really used me when I was younger. So getting to be that is insane.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how like aware you are of the fact that like, wow, I'm doing something super cool. Like I think that's awesome. And I feel like that actually kind of leads into my next question a little bit, that a lot of social media influencers, they seem to have a desire to make their life or their aesthetic seem like perfect, or they tend to come across as maybe a little out of touch with the people who are watching their videos. But I feel like that's not your vibe at all. I feel like you are
I am too in touch.
you are so real, and I love that about it, like about your content. Obviously I don't actually know you other than talking to you right now, but I get the impression that the Lacie we see online, which is sometimes includes sweatpants and Crocs and no makeup and just doing your thing, is exactly like the Lacie you are in real life. And so is that important to you to kind of keep things real even when you're like kind of a big star on these apps?
So for me, I didn't even think about it in the beginning. I just didn't. I've just never been somebody who cared. You will like what you see is my gas station finest. Like I will go out. I do not care. So I've just never been a big image person as like needing to be put together all day, every day. Not that that's a bad thing. My mother is the type of like, she puts makeup on just to exist around the house. And I don't understand that, but more power to her. So I didn't really realize the impact it had until I started like getting DMs and comments and just seeing that it was refreshing to see like a real person. And, you know, I don't film from flattering angles because guess what? My body is my body and it's nothing wrong with it. So if it makes somebody else feel a little bit more confident that I'm not a bikini model, then yeah, I don't care to like, I post what I post. I mean, I've just never really put any of my worth in how hot I am. And so I think that's a big reason why I just don't care how I come to the internet. Cause I mean, I post when I'm actually working. Like when I go out and feed Winston, it's the first thing I do. So yeah, I'm in PJs and I haven't even run a brush through my hair and I'll start filming because unfortunately I don't care. But yeah, I think it's just there's too much of this Instagram or TikTok or any social media page becomes this highlight reel where we compare ourselves. And I want people to know that, like, hey, fun fact, you can have 2.5 million followers on TikTok and still live with your parents because the internet does not pay as much as you think when you're a regular lady who just has cows.
Hey, I mean, I feel like I would think that the fact that you are like keeping it real all the time and just being authentically you, I would think that helped you grow your followers. Because for me, that's super refreshing to see someone who's just living their life and being like, hey, this is what's happening today.
I think it's
Yeah.
also just like, okay, I can watch and like I enjoy it and I don't think too much about like what's going on in my own life. Whereas some people I watched, I'm like, oh my God, my house is a wreck compared to these people. What is happening? Do they have like a fleet of maids? So it is nice to see like, oh wait, no. This is normal.
No, my barn has in it. Fun fact. That's the first cuss word I dropped.
That's okay.
Whoopsies.
It's all right.
It's all right.
We'll take it. We'll
I
take
was
it.
doing so good. But yeah, I have cow poop in my barn and it was built in the 1800s and I'm not going to make it look like an Instagram barn just to appease people I don't even know on the internet. Like I'd rather you see it's a real barn. And I live in my room is turquoise because I made that choice at 15 and it's haunted me till 27. Like that's just what it is.
I think we have all made some poor paint choices in our preteen years that, like, that's just a universal fact of life. It's going to happen.
My room growing up is bright pink. Can you imagine? Like you don't know me, Lacie, but like I'm not a pink girly.
I don't think I've ever seen her wear pink other than when we went to see the Barbie movie. She wore a pink headband.
I was pink in spirit, if not in appearance.
All I can do.
So one of the things that has come up a few times on this podcast is the notion that there's this like preconceived idea out there of what farmers or people in ag, how they look or how they're supposed to act. And why do you think it's important that people see that that isn't strictly true and that farmers come in all sorts of packages?
Oh, I am such a confusing farmer to everybody who yeah, you can literally be a farmer with all things. I mean, I get my sexuality, my voting, like my politics, all assumed just by the fact that I own cattle. And I'm like, dude, look at me. I have blue hair and I have 2 tattoo sleeves. And you like, it blows my mind because it's just so funny that there's just all these assumptions. Everyone just pictures their pappy in like overalls, bald. That's it. That's what a farmer looks like. That's it. That's your only option. So I get questions all that. Why don't you wear boots? Because I don't like boots. Why do you care? Crocs are the elite shoe of choice for me. Like, I'm sorry that I don't go out there in my booty shorts and my little plaid shirts like Daisy Duke and do hot cowgirl stuff. But like, I'm dressed for comfort and, actual mobility here.
Yeah.
Leggings are elite.
Plus, just knowing the work you do, you're probably going to end up covered in some kind of poop or mud at some point. So
Yeah, I mean that's a big thing. Like I change a couple times. Like it's so funny sometimes because people like I remember filming a lot of my morning like routine. People would just be like, "You're in your PJs," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm gonna get covered in gross stuff, and then I'm gonna have to change." And I'm trying not to do 8 loads of laundry a day. Like I don't. My cows aren't like, "Wow, you didn't get dressed for us." It's kind of okay.
Yeah. So you mentioned Winston a little bit, and I have been loving your Winston content. He's your little bottle baby.
Yes.
And I obviously being a farmer is a lot of work, especially, you've
Yeah.
talked about how you're kind of Winston's full-time mom, and that takes a lot of effort. And just in general, all of farm work, it takes a lot. It's demanding. So, but being a full-time content creator, I'm sure is also demanding, even though I'm sure there are people out there who think it's not demanding at all, but it definitely is. So how do you balance your farm work and your social media work and then like everything that comes along with being an influencer, like doing podcast interviews, for example?
It definitely is a lot more because I think like people assume you get a couple 100,000 followers and immediately internet's just like, here's $10,000 a month. And that's not how it works at all. So it's not, I love what I do. So my best friend always gets on me because I'm always just like, oh, it's not that hard. Like it's whatever. But I genuinely don't feel like I'm working. So it doesn't feel like that to me. Every morning, knowing that when I wake up, I've got to feed Doja, feed Boo Boo. I've got to give Drama his medication. I have to go take care of Winston. I got to go check the cows. And that's all before, sometimes 8 a.m. To me, that's just like my routine. It's just another thing adapted in there. And I don't care because that's just what I love doing. So it doesn't really feel like work. I also will say though, genuinely, since I have pet more of a more, fun type of farm, there isn't that same pressure because I'm not making a profit. So, I'm not running a cow calf operation or a feedlot or a dairy. Those definitely have a lot more taxing aspects about them. But yeah, to me, I do enjoy it. So it doesn't always feel like work. I'm also lucky to where the content that I film is usually just as I'm going off my dome. I'm just an idiot and I film while I'm out there. And so it doesn't feel that difficult, but there definitely is a lot more to it. Sometimes when I've done projects with like, there's a nonprofit I'm a part of and stuff. I feel like a lot of times they look at me to like do all the work because they're like, or not all of it, but more of it because it's like, well, you don't have a job. And I'm like, oh, but I do because I work a lot because I take care of the animals. I take care of social media, making sure I'm posting all the time. I also have a whole business that I run and I take care of that. So it's definitely a lot, but it never feels like a lot because I do just genuinely enjoy what I do.
I love that.
So you've spoken on your podcast about dating and the struggle of finding a good partner. And we've done stories on Leicester Farming about how difficult it can be for people in ag to find a partner that clicks because, to paraphrase Farmers Only, certain people just don't get it. And is it important to you to like find a partner who is also involved in or at least interested in ag? And, what's your experience been like trying to find your ideal partner?
I do not care if they're in ag or not. I honestly, for a while, my type was specifically emo boys and bands, and that really threw everybody.
I think we've all gone through that
Who
phase.
hasn't? Who hasn't?
Who among us?
I genuinely do not care if they have a little bit or a lot of background in agriculture. For me, it's just, can you support and be down for what I do? Because if that's your case, then cool. Because I've been the independent lady most of my life. So I don't need you for anything here. I don't need you to help me. I don't need you to do anything. And I don't care if you don't want to do most of it, but it would be nice to have somebody who, at least if they didn't understand the realm, they at least supported it. Like, I think that's all I would really ask.
I feel like, right, I would think at this point, your cows are there, they come with, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, they were
for
there
sure.
first. They're your
Yeah.
big girls. They're your ladies.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our interview, but we have one more question. It's the one that we always end with, and that is, what does being a woman in ag mean to you?
Oh, it means showing the little girls that it's possible, because they need those role models. I can't really think of a lot of people that I looked up to as a young girl. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I don't really remember seeing a lot of people in the industry as women just being able to absolutely kick butt at it. And so I feel like that's really important, because so many times, even though it's 2024, there's still so much stigma behind gender norms and gender roles and what you can and can't do. And I feel like just getting to do it and do it well and make it seem like it's possible, because I know the first comment that ever made me bawl like a little baby was somebody commented, and it was a mom, and she said, "I don't care that you cuss. I let my 9 and 11-year-old daughter watch your videos religiously because you show them that they can do anything." And I was like,
Oh my gosh, that's gonna get me tearing up.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
I was like, you better quit that right now. I was like, oh, snap. Because you don't, like, I film silly videos and I cuss a lot. And so I don't really think about the impact all the time that it has, because, you know, like, I see the numbers, but like, I don't, like, I still do my normal life. Like, I live with my family. I take care of cows. I live in a small town. Like, people aren't recognize me. I'm not doing celebrity stuff. Like, I'm a normal person. So like, I don't really see the impact until I have moms reach out to me like that, or until I had one girl dress up as Farmer Lacie for Halloween.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
Gosh.
I'm like, okay, well, I can't ever stop now, so that's cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
The
Oh my
highest of
goodness.
honors.
Yeah.
I know. I was just like, you shut up right now. Oh,
All right. So, Lacie, do you want to tell the people out there where they can find you on social media or about your podcast? And you are
Yeah,
you
You're
can
allowed
say
to say your podcast.
your podcast name. We will probably have to
Yeah, I'm like,
censor part
what?
of it, but
you're putting me in a trap
I
here.
know.
So I'm just Lacie M. Evans pretty much anywhere, and that's Lacie. Not Lacey Mevans. Some people do think it's that. That's just my middle initial. And then my podcast is called Feral Cow. It's a B. It's what I've dubbed myself, so it had to be done. But I do have that podcast where I have just ADHD rambling thoughts for an hour and 15 minutes, so it's a good time.
all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us at the farmhouse today, Lacie.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on.
So that might have been one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard
I
in an
agree.
interview.
I feel like I was laughing the entire time, which is amazing.
Yeah, she's mentioned about how she's interested in doing stand-up comedy, and I feel like she's absolutely ready for that kind of career because she's got the skills. I'm so glad that we found her. Actually, my husband followed her first on Instagram, and he sent me a video of her talking about how, you know, it can be tempting when you see all these cute cows to want to, like, you know, run up to them and hug them and jump on top of them, but how you should not do that because, you know, it could be quite dangerous both to yourself and the cow. So please do not do those type of things. And I think it was just him warning me to not run headfirst into a Highland cow, which was kind of sad for me to hear, but probably ultimately good for me to hear. And as soon as I saw that video, I kind of fell in love with Lacie and have been following her ever since.
Yeah, it's funny because when you suggested her for the podcast, you said something like, oh, there's this girl I follow on Instagram and she has these cows and she's really funny. And I was like, I immediately knew who you were talking about because I was like, is her name Lacie? Because I follow her on TikTok and she's amazing. So I think we both thought it might be a long shot to get her since she is, like, she's a legitimate influencer, not just someone who's like, oh, I have a few followers. No, she's an influencer.
She's got followers.
So I think we were both over the moon when she was like, yeah, I'll do the podcast. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad she said yes, because again, that was so much fun.
It was. We really recommend giving her a follow on social media. If you're inclined, you can listen to her podcast. We will warn you that, like she says, she does curse on social media and on her podcast. So just be aware if you have any kitties in the room, or if you yourself are not a fan of that sort of thing. But if it's not an issue, then yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. So while you're going over to TikTok and Instagram to give Lacie a follow, you could also give us a follow if you would like. Some shameless plugging right there.
That's very smooth.
Thank you. Yeah, we're on Instagram and TikTok as @Lancaster Farming, and we're also on Facebook as Lancaster Farming. So, if you're already going to TikTok to follow Lacie, just follow us as well. It's super easy.
Right. You can also subscribe, leave us a comment or a review on any of our podcast platforms. That helps us out as well.
And if you have anything you ever want to chat with us about, we have an email, which is farmhouse@lancasterfarming.com. So feel free to reach out if you would like. And I think that's about it for us today. That'll wrap it up. I hope you guys had fun listening to this, because obviously Candace and I had a blast, and it was she's hilarious. She's so real. So hopefully you guys also were laughing along and having a good time. As always, thank you so much for listening. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Candace.
This has been The Farmhouse, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
This episode of The Farmhouse is copyright 2024 by Lancaster Farming Newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family.
It was written by Stephanie Spiker and Candace Wierzbowski. It was produced by Eric Herlock and Matt Lee. The music you have heard throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.